Check your account right now. $10,000. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you mentioned that number to anyone? You have not. Not once. Not your closest friend. Not the person you eat lunch with every day. Nobody. And if you are being honest, you do not want to. That feeling you just identified, that instinct to protect the number rather than share it, is not just healthy. It is the single most important psychological shift that happens between the people who build real wealth and the people who only ever look like they are. You did not learn that instinct. You did not read it somewhere. It arrived the moment the number became real, quietly, without announcement, just like the money itself. And what that instinct is already doing to your brain, to your payday, to the way you see money, that is what the next 15 minutes is about. And once you understand it, you will never think about savings the same way again. Think about who you were 6 months ago. Sunday night, kitchen table. Not relaxing, calculating. Rent hits the 1st. Car payment hits the 8th. There is a work trip coming up and you have no idea if the card will clear at the hotel without moving money around in a way that makes your stomach turn. You are not irresponsible. You are not bad with money. You are living in a state that does something specific and brutal to the human brain, and nobody warned you about it. When your account balance is low, your brain physically narrows its focus. It cannot plan for next year. It cannot think about next month. It can only see this week, this bill, this problem directly in front of you. Psychologists call it the scarcity trap. What it means in real life is this: you are making every financial decision from a mind that is already exhausted from surviving. Every small purchase feels heavy. Every unexpected expense is a crisis. Every Sunday night is a version of that kitchen table. And then the gap started closing, not from a raise, not from a windfall, from a decision, small and quiet and almost embarrassing in how undramatic it was. $20 a week that became 40. 40 that became whatever you could move without feeling it. Month after month of a number growing so slowly it barely registered, until one day it did. $10,000. And the moment your brain registered that number as real, not a temporary peak, not a number that was about to disappear, something in your nervous system went quiet. The narrowing stopped. Suddenly you are thinking about next month, next year, the version of yourself that does not spend Sunday nights at that table. You did not just save $10,000, you bought yourself a completely different mind to make decisions with. And that mind is already doing something to your daily life that you have not fully named yet, which is exactly what this next part is about. There was a moment, maybe more than one, where you almost said it. A conversation about money, someone complaining about being broke, someone suggesting a trip you would have said no to a year ago. And the number was right there on the tip of your tongue. $10,000. And something stopped you. Something quieter and smarter than pride. Here is what that instinct already understood that most people only learn after it is too late. The moment you announce a financial milestone, the world around you recalibrates. Not dramatically, quietly. The person who always assumed you could not cover your share stops assuming that. The family member who calls when things are tight starts doing different math. The friend group unconsciously shifts what your lifestyle is supposed to look like. None of these people mean harm. This is just what people do. Expectations recalibrate around new information. And the moment you let someone know you have more, even casually, even once, you have handed them a data point they will carry forever. The people who build real, lasting, generational wealth understood this early. Financial privacy is not secrecy. It is not shame. It is structure. It is the deliberate decision to protect something you are building from the social pressure that would dismantle it, not all at once, but slowly, dinner by dinner, favor by favor, assumption by assumption. Every time you choose not to announce it, you are reinforcing something much more valuable than the balance. You are reinforcing the identity of someone who builds without performing, someone who does not need the room to know, someone who is completely comfortable being underestimated because they know exactly what is in the account. And here is why that identity matters more than the $10,000 itself. The money is what you have right now. The identity is what determines every number that comes after it. Because the person who builds quietly, who has trained themselves to move without announcing, that person does not stop at 10,000. That person does not even consider stopping. And that is already showing up in your life in ways you may not have noticed yet. It happened on a Thursday, ordinary morning, driving to work. And you realized payday is tomorrow, and you felt nothing, Not the countdown, not the calculation of which bill gets covered first, not the quiet background dread of checking the account at midnight the moment the deposit clears. Just nothing. Because you already have money. And this paycheck is not the thing standing between you and a problem. That shift, from paycheck as oxygen to paycheck as fuel, is one of the most significant things that will ever happen to your financial life. And most people never feel it. Because most people spend everything between paydays and reset to zero and do it all over again, month after month, year after year, wondering why the number never moves. You broke that cycle, and your brain knows it. Watch what else changes now. You are at the register. Something lands in the cart that you did not go in for, and you pause. Not because you cannot afford it, because the anxiety that used to drive that purchase is quieter now, and without the anxiety, the impulse does not have the same pull it used to. The anxiety was never about the thing in the cart. The thing in the cart was just the delivery system for a feeling that is no longer as loud. That pause, that half second between wanting something and actually buying it, is a muscle, and you are building it without anyone teaching you, without a course, without a budget spreadsheet. You are building it by feel, by the simple fact that the financial pressure that used to override every decision has lost its grip. Wealth is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in that pause, in the silence before the swipe, in the question that now lives in the back of your mind every time you reach for your card. Is this building something, or is this just noise? You are starting to hear that question automatically. And that automatic question is worth more than any amount of financial advice you will ever consume. But the reason all of this is possible, the pause, the calm payday, the quiet identity, comes down to a game most people do not know exists. And once you see it, the way you see money never goes back. There are two completely different financial games running in parallel around you right now. Most people are deep inside the first one. They have never heard of the second one. The first game is the visible game. The car that signals something the moment you pull into the parking lot. The outfit that costs more than it should because of what it communicates. The vacation that exists as content before it exists as a memory. The apartment that stretches the budget because the address says something about who you are. The dinner tab you pick up because something in you needs the room to know you can. Everything in this game is external. Everything is a signal sent outward. The goal, conscious or not, is to look like you are winning, to give the people around you a specific impression of where you stand. And the trap buried inside this game is invisible until it is far too late. The more you win it, the more expensive winning becomes. Because the people around you are playing it too. Every signal you send, they respond to. Every upgrade you make, it shifts the baseline, and suddenly you are spending not to live well. You are spending to maintain an image that keeps getting more expensive to sustain. That is not wealth. That is a performance with an ever-rising production cost. The second game has almost no players, because it has no audience, no signal to send, no impression to manage, no scoreboard anyone outside of you can read, just the gap. The gap between what comes in and what goes out, growing quietly every single month while everyone around you watches the visible game and assumes they know where you stand. You are playing the second game now. You are going to let people assume. You are going to let the person with the louder car and the louder lifestyle think they are ahead, because in the only game that actually compounds over time, they are not even close. 5 years from now, you are going to be somewhere that nobody saw coming, because you never gave them a single signal to track. That is the game you entered the day the account hit 10,000 and you said nothing. Now here is the question sitting on the other side of that: what do you actually do next? And the answer is the one thing most people immediately get wrong. You are at the register in a different sense now. 10,000 is done. The account is real. The buffer exists. And your brain, the same brain that just spent months doing something slow and quiet and disciplined, is already scanning for the next move. That scanning is good. That hunger is good. Do not shut it down. But here is what almost everyone does at exactly this moment. And it is the single mistake that quietly unravels everything they spent months building. They change the system. The slowness starts to feel wrong now that the goal is hit. The small monthly moves that felt like progress start to feel insufficient against the size of the next number. So they go looking for something faster, a bigger move, a different approach. Something that matches how significant this next goal feels. And in that search for speed, they abandoned the one thing that actually worked, which was the quiet, undramatic, slightly boring consistency of widening the gap a little more every single month and never touching what accumulated. The next number is not a new system. It is the same system extended, the exact discipline that built 10,000, the same gap widening, the same silence, the same monthly move that felt almost embarrassingly small. That is the engine that builds 20,000, 50,000. The number that makes 10,000 look like the first sentence of a very long story. And here is the part that most people do not see until they are already far enough in to feel it. The second milestone arrives faster than the first. The third faster than the second. Not because the amounts get smaller, because the identity gets stronger. Every month the buffer sits untouched, it becomes harder to touch. Not from willpower, because you are not the same person who started this. The person with $10,000 sitting quietly in an account does not have the same relationship with money that the person at the kitchen table on Sunday night had. That person has a different reflex now, a different default. Discipline stopped being a decision. It became just what you do. And that, not the $10,000, is the thing that changes everything that comes after. You are heading somewhere right now. Not a destination with a date and a plan, a direction. And in personal finance, in real, quiet, compounding personal finance, direction is everything. Because directions do not stay constant, they accelerate. The person you are becoming does not announce things, does not need the room to know, does not measure their standing by what the person in the next lane can see through the window. The person you are becoming checks the account sometimes, not from anxiety, not from obsession, just from the quiet satisfaction of watching something work, and then closes the app and goes back to their life. Both people exist in every neighborhood around you right now. They drive similar cars, they show up to the same offices, they sit in the same break rooms eating donuts when someone announces they are debt-free. But one of them has a number growing in an account nobody knows about, and that number is not sitting still. It is doing something every single month in complete silence. You are in that group now. You got there without a perfect plan, without punishing yourself every time something slipped, without turning it into a challenge or a post or a moment. You just moved, quietly, month after month, in the same silence you started in. And the version of you that exists 10 years from now, the one standing somewhere that the person at that kitchen table could not have pictured, is going to trace everything back to this, to the $10,000 nobody knew about. To the break room where you said nothing, drank your coffee, and thought about your account while everyone else clapped. To the moment you understood, really understood, that the silence was never the secret. It was always the point.